to the Travsessed podcast. We're your hosts, Kim and Aaron, and in this week's podcast, take it away, Kim.
This is definitely the episode for you if you are a dreamer, if you're thinking about traveling, if you want to travel, but you're still on the fence, you're still not sure, you're still not 100% if you're ready to take the leap or not. If that is you, this is the podcast for you, my friend. We gotcha. Let's go.
Flight crew, please prepare for departure.
Okay, that was an intro. You say you never get to do the intros?
I feel like I nailed it.
I think that's you've gained with age, your ability to intro the podcast.
Now that I'm the grand old age of 37.
Yep, happy birthday to you yesterday.
Yeah, we celebrated, thank you. We celebrated my 37th birthday yesterday, which is funny because on our way, so Aaron took me out for this amazing lunch, like on the river,
Nailed
outside.
it.
You did oysters, wine, all the things. Just such a perfect outdoor birthday lunch day. Mm-hmm. But on the way driving over there, I was like, wow, this is our 16th birthday, celebrating it together. Like I've celebrated my last 16 birthdays with you. Mm-hmm. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. It's your sweet 16, right?
I know.
So not only is it a sweet 16, we also realize that you turn 37, your birthday is 3-7, your numbers have always been 3 and 7. So watch out, world.
It's going to be
here we come.
A good freaking year, dude. Even though this morning, so today I woke up as a 37-year-old post-birthday and like I just feel super grumpy. I'm like, this is not the best way to like start my birthday, but I just felt kind of grumpy, and then our internet's not working, and like I feel like we're leaving for Patagonia next week, so I kind of feel like we were excited for my birthday, and we knew that was kind of just a day to fully enjoy and just be present, but now it's like, okay, back to reality. We have so much shit to do before we leave next week. So I just kind of woke up feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and then I felt grumpy because of the internet. And so now I'm just like, I don't want to start off this year feeling like this. So I'm trying to like shake it off. But like, honestly, I kind of just want to go back to bed.
Yeah, no. And I think too, I want to start off, we have some announcements to make, some house cleaning stuff to make. But I do want to say that it's kind of a funny story that, little bit turned on by you when it came down to the fact that the day before you actually said that we should not go celebrate my birthday because we got work to do.
I know.
And I was like, now this is also coming from two people that have made sure that we have never worked in the hospital on our birthdays. Never. That is like our day. We're not spending it in the hospital. And yesterday you were like, I don't think we should celebrate, or the day before, my birthday because we have work to do. And I was like, that's a huge turn on because number one, like you would rather work in our business on your birthday. Like it's amazing because it shows how much fun we have doing that. But two, like we were like, no, like not gonna happen. Like we're gonna go out and celebrate. We'll get our work done, but it is exciting for all the stuff we have coming up.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. That's
we're leaving for Patagonia.
Right. And so my birthday, like we're flying to Santiago before we meet everybody in Patagonia. So that's kind of my little birthday celebration. Like we're doing a wine tour, we're going to do some fun dinners. So I kind of looked at that as my big birthday celebration. And so being here was more like, hey, we have a lot to do. I want to feel a little bit more relaxed. So maybe we should just take the day and kind of get some stuff done. And then we're like, okay, that's ridiculous. Relax.
We have 6 days.
Let's go have a nice day. So we had an amazing day. And now, we're hitting it again today. And so kind of leading into this, like what we talked about as far as this episode is really geared towards people who want to travel and just haven't taken the leap yet. And this topic, I guess, was inspired by the fact that we are teaching a free masterclass, a travel masterclass
tonight,
Thursday, the 9th. And we've had hundreds of people sign up for it, and there's a form that people are filling out, and in that they have questions and they're sharing different things of the different areas that they're in. And I would say like 98% of the people joining the masterclass, they're all dreamers. So it was really fun to read through the questions, and what was coming up for a lot of people was just, I really want to do this. I really want to take the leap, but I'm not sure, like, is it worth leaving my job? Like, are there really jobs now that it seems so competitive? What is the pay? Like, should I, like, I'm scared. I don't know. This is such a big step. And so that was this theme across a lot of people's questions or just what they wanted to share in the form. And so we thought this is the perfect episode to speak also to other people who are feeling like that, because that's such a normal, that everyone who's about to travel or take any big leap feels that way. Mm-hmm. So we thought, let's chat about that a little bit. And also, if you're listening to this on Thursday the 9th, you can still sign up to join us tonight for the masterclass. So we'll put the link to join the masterclass in the comments or like in the show notes. And it asks you a couple of questions, and then you'll put in your name and your email, and then that will send, once you put in your email, it will send you where we're going to be teaching it, what time. It will give you all the deets. So if you're interested and you're ready to take the leap, this is going to be the masterclass for you.
Totally.
Okay.
Love it. That's it, right, for house cleaning?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, cool.
Let's roll.
Okay, so I just jotted down a couple of notes.
Of course you did.
Because I think, we'll start here. So one thing, right? We've been traveling for 10 years. That's a really long time.
It is.
And I just think back of, so all of these people coming into the masterclass, all of these dreamers, like, I think back to how we felt 10 years ago. And if I would have found us and been like, wow, like, they're showing me how I could completely change my life, what opportunities are available, how I could pay off debts, how I could travel more, how I could live in different places all over the United States. Like, holy shit, like, I would have been so excited to know what could be possible for my own life, for our life, right? And that's a really exciting place to be, because when we started traveling 10 years ago, we felt exactly the same way. We really had no idea if this was the right step for us. But, there's like jets or something flying over. Ooh.
Oh, it's the start of the players.
Oh, okay. I was like, holy shit. It's like, but we didn't have anybody teaching us anything, right? We just kind of took the leap and went for it. And as we all know, it worked out. It was the best decision we've ever made. But anytime you're on that fence of like, you want to do something, and we were even excited, even though we didn't really know what to expect, we still were like, no, this feels so right. Yeah. And if we would have had something like this or a masterclass or people teaching us, I can't even imagine how excited we would have been, because we would have had this roadmap to help us get started, and we would have done things very differently.
Well,
right?
Totally. And I think too, like, even taking that a step further, it's nice having radiology people, right? Because we have a lot of radiology people in our group. Not to say that we don't have a lot of other specialties, but I do think that the travel nurse world had been around for a long time, even when we started traveling, and it was still like, is this good for us? And I think it's really cool to be seeing, the fact that, like, we are radiology travelers that have traveled for 10 years. This is the lifestyle we've built. This is what was capable. And that's what makes it really cool, when you can actually see yourself, not only the people that are like traveling, but in your specialty.
Well, right. Yeah. And they're showing you, again, it's like what's possible for you, right? Like, what could you do with this kind of freedom? Like, if I would have seen this couples sharing, like, you can pay off all of your debts, because at the time when we started traveling, we had so much debt. We had no money, no extra money at all. We dreamed of going to California or all these other places, but really didn't have the money to save to be able to go. We're living paycheck to paycheck, couldn't really even make ends meet, like we would have maybe $100 left over after everything was said and done.
On a good week.
Right. Like we were really scraping by at that point. And so knowing we wanted to change, but wasn't really sure what that looked like, and really kind of looking at the life that we did create for ourselves and what we thought that we wanted, taking a step back and being like, this is not it. Like this is the opposite of being free and being able to travel and having more time. Like we are glued to these jobs, and you're telling me we can't even go to Carrabba's for dinner.
Right.
Like what the fuck have we done?
Without screwing our 2 weeks of pay.
Right.
That's insane.
I mean, it's so crazy to think about. So if we were watching a couple that's like, not only can you make more money, but you can save, you can pay down debts, working less out or working less, weeks or months as a full-time tech, and like, hey, this is how we do it. Not just saying it, but giving you a roadmap, giving you a steps of like real tangible things, because I'm somebody who I love stories, but I also really like tangible steps.
Totally.
I would have lost my mind. Like I would have been on cloud 9, like let's freaking go.
Yeah.
And so I love that we get to be that roadmap for other people.
No, totally. And I can feel it. Like I can feel those entries to like coming tomorrow. Like, and I'm so excited because who knows what's going on in their mind. If they're anything like us, they're freaking stoked to come because they're like, I get to actually see, is this real? Is this something that I can do? And it's like, I can hear the chatter. I can hear the talk at work about like, oh my God, like I'm going to this masterclass. I'm going to learn, I'm going to start traveling. Like, I know they're going to give me what I need to hear. And like, that's such a cool feeling to know that like people are coming that are freaking excited and pumped to change their lives.
To like literally blow up their life as they know it and create something incredible for themselves.
Totally.
And so what we're going to talk about on the masterclass, just so you know if it's right for you, but we're going to talk about the perks and the challenges, right? So kind of what to expect, because again, this is for people who are on the fence still. So kind of a day in the life of a traveler. What is it really like? Is it for you? Things that you really need to think about to see if it's right for you. Because as you know, we're obsessed with this life, but it's definitely not for everybody, as we talk about. It's a completely different way of living and working, and it's not for everybody. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about really what the earning potential is, because that's a big question that comes up. Is it really worth me leaving my full-time job, right? As far as when we're talking about just the financial side of things. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, being a competitive market and if there really are jobs available and if you could keep working, because that's another big thing, right? When we started, you had your first contract, but we were like, well, hopefully we get another contract after that. But like, is that it? Or are we going to keep working, right?
And it hadn't stopped.
Yeah. So we're going to talk more about that. And then, the experience needed, and I forget a couple other things. Oh, kind of the first steps, helping you get started. We're going to talk about benefits. That was another huge question people had. If I leave my full-time job, what about my benefits? Will I get benefits? How does that work? So we're going to hit on all of those foundational things and give kind of a good high-level overview. As you know, there's absolutely no way we can dig into every single detail of every single thing. That's why we created Traveler School, because that really breaks it all down step by step. This is an hour training, and so we're going to try to get through as much as possible and also answer questions that people have. So that's kind of the gist, the overview.
Yeah, totally.
And another thing that came up a lot is people assuming that in order to be a traveler, it's just, these young buck, carefree, they've got, no responsibilities. They, they don't have kids or whatever. They can kind of just do whatever they want. And so that's who the travelers are, right? And so I wanted to kind of bust that myth, because no matter where you are on your journey in life, traveling is always available to you. If you really, really want to do something, really want to do something, you can always figure out a way to do it. So there are people who travel with kids. There are people who travel right after college. There are people who travel when they're retired. There's married travelers. There's single travelers. There's travelers who travel with younger kids. There's travelers who travel with older kids who one partner homeschools. Like, there are so many examples of different people traveling in different ways.
There's couples that one person's not in healthcare and the other one takes all the assignments. Like, and the other one is like support and does little jobs around the town that they're in. Like, I mean, there's so many ways. Like, like Kim said, I think it all boils down to what we've realized, that if you want something bad enough, you make it work. You figure it out. And, you know, the financial side of that, understanding the financial side definitely helps with that. And then there's also a lot of like mental angst when it comes down to like somebody leaving their job that's not in healthcare, and what do they do? And like, those are things that, like, I feel like when you're armed with information, you can make the best decision for you, because we'll never be able to, you know, give you the ideal plan for your ideal life. You just have to take, you know, what we're saying and then apply it to your own life and see if it works.
And there is an example there's a person that you can connect with
Totally.
that has a similar situation. And I think that's the point, right? Is that there's somebody who you can talk to that is doing what you want to do, that's in a situation that you're in. Because there's all different travelers who come from different walks of life, different modalities, different seasons, different ages, different family backgrounds, different financial backgrounds. I mean, we always say, you know, we started traveling and we had nothing. We had no money. We had to borrow money from my stepdad.
And cash out our 401ks.
And that was scary. We were not in a financial place, but we knew in our hearts that we had to do this, and we wanted it bad enough that we were willing to do whatever it took to figure it out. And that was our option. There's a lot of people who take some time and save up some money and get themselves going. There's so many different ways that you can do that. But if you are feeling called, or you're feeling excitement by listening to this, or when you watch the masterclass and you start to feel that spark and that percolation inside of like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like this is for me, I just encourage people to listen to that, because it's there for a reason. It's speaking to you for a reason. And that feeling, listening to your gut, always outweighs what you can, like, sometimes how it comes out on paper, that it maybe doesn't make the most sense on paper, but you're like, but I gotta listen to this. Because when you listen to your gut, you never, ever, ever are steered wrong, ever.
Totally. And I think, like, let's be honest, the two things that boil down to everything that we see, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different questions like benefits and stuff like that, but I think it all boils down to the finances. People want to know, do I make more money doing the same job, which we're going to talk about, and two, how much time off do I get? Because that is really what that's a pain point, right, in the hospital, the money I make and the time off I get. And we see that all the time, especially with, you know, the fact that people that want to go on our adventure trips that we do, like we're going to Patagonia next week, then we have Peru in June and July, and then Bali in August, and like all these cool trips planned. And we have a lot of healthcare workers that are not travelers in our community, and they were trying to go on these trips. And the healthcare travelers are like, yeah, when is it? I just want to know. I'll plan my contracts around that. And they're able to go. Versus what we've seen is the people working full-time jobs are not getting approved for the PTO. It has nothing to do with the finances that they can go. They have the money. They're just not getting approved for their paid leave to go on these trips. And literally, I don't know, 10, 15 people have said, like, this is the this is the push that I needed to start traveling, because this is ridiculous. And it's insane. And that's a pain point for me, because that's like, I can't imagine you working so hard and full time and wanting 2 weeks off to go experience something that's amazing with a group of other healthcare workers and travelers, and you can't go because of X, Y, and Z of the facility. Like, that for me, I'd be putting in my 2 week notice immediately.
Yeah.
The minute they said no.
I agree. It's bullshit. And I think that was one of our driving forces for us when we chose to travel, is that we wanted more time. And, most places, not all places, but a lot of places, you get your 2 weeks off and you have to plan your life around that. And then you come back and you're back to work until you can take off your 2 weeks again. And I think that's a huge pain point for a lot of people who are on the verge and wanting to take the leap, is they're burnt out. Like, you're overworked. You're, taking a shit ton of call. If you're, in radiology like us, call is a part of our job, right? So like, you have to take X amount of days per week. And if you're full time, it's usually mandatory that you take, X amount per week in 1 weekend a month or whatever it is. And you're burnt out, you're overworked, you're wanting to have more time. I mean, even one of my best friends, she's a sonographer and she's full time. And they have to combine, PTO with sick days and things like that. And if her daughter is sick, well, she has to stay home with her. And then therefore that comes out of her PTO. And then her daughter was in a recital and she just wanted to be able to go and see her daughter in her dance recital. And it was denied. And she was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I can't even go. Like, I have a life outside of here. I want to go see my daughter's first dance recital. And so she called in and went anyways. And then they like wrote her up. And it's just like shit like that. You're just like, there's so much life to live outside of the walls of the hospital. And I feel like traveling has opened up that whole world that we were so unfamiliar with, that yes, when you're working in a contract, you're working 40 hours, you're picking up call, you're doing all the things you do normally in like a full-time job, right? It's when you're in a contract, you're working. But the freedom and flexibility comes from the time in between. So you can choose to take some time off in between and take a month off to go travel, or take a month off to go home, or whatever you want to do, and then pick up another contract when you feel ready, right? And I think also the knowing that I'm only here for 3 months and then I get to decide what the next steps are going to look like. But like, that's up to me.
Right.
It's not up to anyone else.
No, and I will say that there's a lot of times that even in business podcasts or things that we listen to where you're like, oh wait, that's way too good to be true. Like, that's insane. Like, honestly, I felt that way when we started traveling. Like, there's no way that this is real. And there's so many things that it's not all rainbows and butterflies every single time. There's a lot to like that you have to deal with as a traveler. But for the most part, I will say all of it is true and it is good. And it's amazing, especially if you're looking to design your life around those pain points of financial freedom, working less, making more, and taking time off as you please in between contracts.
100%.
Which opened up the world to us.
And this is really important because you can always change your circumstances. Like, that's your choice, right? We have a lot of excuses. Oh, I have kids. And again, yes, it's not always the easiest change. No. For like, if you have a family and you have other things, of course, there's going to be more things to figure out. There's going to be, different, different things that you're going to have to figure out and see if it's really realistic for you to do at this point in your life, right? Obviously. But we're all in charge of our own life, and we get to choose to rearrange things and to change our circumstances whenever we want. That's up to us. It's work. It can be, you're out of your comfort zone. It can be scary. It can feel overwhelming, but it's still always available to us, right? And travel to us was one of those things that it allowed us to reset and kind of blow up the life that we had created and what we thought we wanted, and to reset and like reboot and create a new life that we wanted. Traveling was that for us.
You're right. It was that big red reset button.
Yeah.
And just like that, when can you ever do that? Like, we've thought we were going to go down this path. We really don't like the path we're going down. Like, we want to change it up. And how do we do that? And traveling is that. It really is that big red reset button that you can hit, because it's like you're not going to take too much of a financial hit over time because you're going to make more money. And then the freedom of it, right? Like, I mean, you could work and work and work and work and work nonstop and build all that back for the first 2 years. and then slowly start to back off. But I do think that like if you go in, there's no such thing as a get rich quick theme. I do think that like we played it for the long game, and it worked out for us because we worked hard to get to a certain point. Once we reached that certain point, then we were able to kind of slowly start backing off and exploring more. And also as traveling, it keeps your bills down if you allow it to, because of the fact that like you want to be as minimal as possible. So there's so many perks to it if you allow those perks to come in.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's really all we wanted to say is really, if you're listening to this and this is something that's resonating with you, definitely come check out the masterclass. And we're going to be going into all of these different areas. If you can't make it live, so it's Thursday, March 9th. It's going to be at 8 o'clock, I think. And again, we'll send you out all the information once you sign up. You can sign up with the link in the show notes. But there will be a replay. So if you can't make it live, we would love if you came live and hung out with us. If you can't, there will be a replay. And I really feel like people who watch this masterclass will walk away from this either being completely ready to jump in or knowing that it's not the right time for them.
Yeah.
Because we're saying, oh, anyone can travel. And yes, that's true. But sometimes it just might not be the right time. Sometimes maybe you have to get some other things in order. Or I know there's a lot of people who are like, my kids are going to be graduating this year, so I want to gear up and get myself ready for next year when they do. And so you have to evaluate where you are on the journey. And so, but the cool thing with traveling is that it's always there for you when you're ready to go.
Totally.
Right?
It's definitely not going anywhere.
Yeah. And we're here to support you every step of the way. When you make that jump and you do decide to take that leap, we're here to support you. We're here to guide you, to answer questions, and to just really make the transition as smooth and as fun and as exciting as it possibly can. Because besides some of the overwhelm and anxieties and the uncertainties, which are all normal, everybody feels that way when you're taking a big leap like this. But once you get kind of through that, it really is an exciting time.
It really is. And
so just to be able to be a part of that, I think is really cool to mentor new travelers. And so coming out with us tonight, and we're also going to be offering a huge discount for all the Masterclass students for Traveler School for those who are ready to take that next step with us and jump into Traveler School. So coming out. Check it out. Yep. All the things.
That's perfect.
All right.
That was a very Kim forward podcast.
What do you mean?
I feel like that was a very Kim forward podcast.
Oh, you mean like I talked the whole time?
Yeah, like you were on a roll. You were rolling through it. I was like your hype man.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love it. We can do those more often.
So you can just sit there and stare at me?
It's like a solo episode, but not.
I think you contributed quite a bit and added some good stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. No, I liked it. It was fun listening to you.
Very smart.
You are. You have a lot of good things
to say.
This
is something I'm really passionate about. My favorite thing to do is talk to dreamers. Like that is the thing that lights me up. That is the thing that excites me. I love talking to new travelers, especially the ones who are excited.
Right. When I will say that I can feel it even more than any other masterclass or training that we've done because we are back in Jacksonville where it all started. And so it's like we drove by our house the other day, and it was like that's where we sat on the back porch. That's where we changed everything. That's where we moved everything into the garage and figured out what we were taking with us and what we weren't. Like how can we pack the cars? Like, I mean, it was such a nostalgic feeling of like that's where it all began 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost 11.
I know. That's wild.
We
just used to dream.
Dream and cry.
Dream and cry. I know. That's amazing though, to look back on that and be like, wow, like so much happened there. And circling back all these years later to be in such a different place and just knowing how we felt in that house, because that's where we decided to start traveling, and the nerves, the overwhelm, the uncertainty, the like, God, I hope we're making the right decision.
Yeah.
And leaving there and just not knowing what was in front of us to now come back and be like, I'm so glad that you guys listened to your hearts because look at what happened.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure
Yeah.
when we were in that house. We were like, oh.
It is kind of one of those movie-esque feelings when we drove by and the garage was open. I could picture us like hologram wise. And it was like one of those cool moments of like, I wish I could have shouted in the garage and been like, you guys are going to thrive. Like, do it. Keep going. You're fine. Like, all your worries, throw them out the window. Like, we got you. And look at us now. You know? And like, that was a cool moment.
Yeah. 100%. All right, guys. We're out of here. I mean, we're heading to Chile next week to kick off our first Travsessed adventure trip of the year.
Yep.
And we'll be gone for about a month.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah. We'll try to do a podcast while we're down there. Yeah. But honestly, like, we haven't recorded any ahead of time, and we'll do our best. But make sure to follow us on Instagram at Kim and Aaron G for like our stories, and we'll be kind of sharing the experience through there. And we'll try to get a podcast in, but no guarantees with that because our priority is being with our group and our, being a part of this trip and being present and just really kind of taking in this experience. Yeah, so,
good way to do it.
All right. Toodaloo, motherfucker.
Okay.